Welcome, I'm Kinetic Symphony. This is Dave. I hunt down and report on weird and true mysterious stories, from glitches to the supernatural. Case file number 1720, written by Admirable Cobbler 319, The Mind's Eye Mystery and Fallible History. Several years ago, I was having a hard time with life. My mom had recently died, my dog had recently died, and I may have been going through some sort of midlife crisis. I decided to try meditation to try to get a grip on everything, but I had no idea how to meditate, still don't. So I found a guided meditation on YouTube. The video was pretty typical, get comfortable, focus on breathing, blah blah blah. Then he says, I want you to focus on the memory of your best day. Immediately, I remembered my best day. It was a summer after I graduated from high school. I had no adult plan and made a spur-of-the-moment decision to take a road trip. I had quite a bit of money from all the graduation gifts. My mom was not on board. She said there was no way she would allow an 18-year-old girl to drive around the US on her own. We were arguing about it, and my stepbrother's friend overheard. He offered to go with me. We talked about it for weeks, and begrudgingly, my mom gave permission. The first few days were awkward. I knew this boy, but didn't really know him. But with nothing else to do while driving, we talked about everything. We had so much more in common than I had previously realized. Over the course of the next couple of weeks, we became friends. The specific memory during the guided meditation was of the two of us sitting in a diner. We sat across from each other in a booth. I can perfectly remember how the sunlight reflected off his hair, and in that moment, I was in love with being alive. But here's the thing, that never happened. None of it. I didn't go on a road trip. I never became friends with this person. When the video told me to remember my favorite memory, the diner scene popped into my head and I somehow knew the backstory. It was one of the strangest things I've ever experienced. I know it sounds like I just made up an imaginary story, but it didn't feel like a made-up story. It was a memory. I wasn't daydreaming. I was remembering. Case file number 1720, The Mind's Eye Mystery and Fallible History. That is just a brutal start to the story, and I think it would have crushed the spirit of anyone affected by so much tragedy in such a short amount of time. I'm just sorry to hear that. Wow. Thing is, who's to say this memory isn't true? We could have lived a million times before this, a million different iterations of real life. So again, who's to say the memory isn't true? Might just be your soul remembering a memory it's not supposed to, that is suppressed by whatever mechanism is used in the simulation, the real world. So my guess is it was real, just in a different version of the game. And I think there's a beauty in that. Case file number 1721, written by Rudest Boy, The Homespun, Goblin Run. Growing up, me and my brother were latchkey kids. I was in 7th grade, and my brother was like 2nd or 3rd grade, early 2000s. We would be home alone from the time we got home from school until our mom got home around 6 p.m. One day we were watching TV, and there was a loud thud. Like something fell in one of the bedrooms at the end of the hall. Then the pitter-patter of feet running. I turned to look down the hall, and then running towards us was, I guess, like a goblin gnome Rumpelstiltskin thing. It honestly looked like a small 2 to 3 foot tall medieval peasant. I couldn't believe what I saw. It ran down the hall past us and then out of our back door. I watched it the entire time. It's not like I saw it out of the corner of my eye. I remember looking over at my brother and he said, "Did you see the little man?" And I immediately started crying, grabbed him, then our cordless house phone, and sat on the front porch to call our mom and told her to come home. I've never had any paranormal experiences before or after that. We don't come from a religious family, or one that believes in that sort of stuff. We weren't watching anything scary. I really don't know. Me and my brother are both grown now. We still tell that story sometimes camping, at parties, and I can tell most people don't believe us, but it's true. I've read of group and shared hallucinations, but really don't know what else it could be. Case notes for file 1721, The Homespun Goblin Run. So 2 things on this. The first thing is I'm imagining Peter Dinklage running around as a thief. I mean, if he wanted to, no one would believe their eyes that Peter Dinklage is a thief. They would just be so befuddled and flabbergasted that they wouldn't say anything. Who would believe him? But the second note is, even small people, whatever you want to call them, they still exist. There's quite a few of them around, people like 3 foot tall or something, and there's nothing saying they couldn't be thieves, and given their size, they could fit into places where other people couldn't, so they would be probably pretty good at it too. So you might have just seen a common thief that was uncommonly sized. Case file number 1722, written by on-and-on-anon. A day turned tragic, but resolved with magic. I learned how to crochet about 15 years ago. One day when I was first learning, I was sitting at my desk with a project because I needed to follow the pattern on my computer. I drew out my crochet hook. It was a bright blue, almost aqua color. I bent down to look for it and it wasn't there. My carpet was a very light carpet, and there was nothing on the floor. It wasn't hiding under papers, for example. Nothing was on the floor. I looked around thinking maybe it had rolled somewhere. Nothing. I was confused and also annoyed because I needed that hook. Each size was a different color and I needed that size. And since I had just recently learned, I only had one hook in that size. Later I ran to Walmart and picked up another one. So now I have two. The new one and the missing one. A few days later I was crocheting again. My husband came out of our bedroom with the hook that was missing. He happened to see it in the basket where I kept my crochet stuff. I know that it was missing in our office area, not my bedroom. I thought that maybe one of the kids found it and put it back. Weird and unlikely, but explainable. Cool, now I have two hooks in that size. Another few days passed and I didn't really think about it anymore. I was at my desk again, not crocheting. Something caught my eye and I looked down and the hook was there, exactly where it would have been when I dropped it originally. It had not been there when I sat down. So I picked it up and thought that it was definitely weird and went to put it in the basket in my room. And when I did, there were already two hooks in that size in my basket. Now I know for 100% sure that I started with just one hook. Because this was a new hobby for me, and I had just a few hooks and no duplicates. If this happened now, I'd have no idea how many I have in each size, but at that time, I definitely only had one. Then I bought one to replace it, which makes two. So how in the world did a third one show up? Right where the original one disappeared about a week earlier. Case file 1722. A day turned tragic, but resolved with magic. Yeah, so you have classic DOP and then duplication, because it did come back when it wasn't supposed to. Also, I'd just say that being able to sew is a very useful skill. My clothes always get frazzled, especially socks, so the ability to just sew them back into place, well, not bad. Which I'm assuming is what crochet means. I'm honestly not sure. I'll have to look it up after, but I'm sure it involves needles and sewing something. Pretty sure. Now time for the joke of the day. What drink is most dangerous to cats? Curiosity. A very rare arcane blend of tea. But yes, curiosity did kill the cat, but I think it's still important to have curiosity. Don't let fear of death rule it out. Like the video, subscribe, hit the bell. Kinetic Symphony signing off.